University opened the 1976 football season looking for answers to several questions. Who would replace two-time Heisman Award winner Archie Griffin at tailback? Who could fill the shoes of the Big Ten's most valuable player, quarterback Cornelius Green? How could a replacement be found for graduated wingback Brian Eichschneider? The only offensive player left in that backfield was the nation's leading scorer from 1975, fullback Pete Johnson. So Woody Hayes began his 26th year of coaching at Ohio State with a rebuilding problem on offense. His defense was more complete with 7 regulars back from the 1975 championship team. The Buckeyes had to develop fast, opening the season against the always tough Michigan State Spartans, the last team to beat Ohio State in league play, doing the job in 1974, 16-13. But Ohio State showed that they had the able replacement for Archie Griffin when Jeff Logan came out of the wings to spark the Buckeye drives. Here the 5'10 junior took a pitch from sophomore quarterback Rod Gerald and ran 19 yards to the Michigan State 17. Gerald carried in on the next play to start Ohio State scoring. Gerald, moments later, displayed his running abilities when he carried for 32 yards and almost got in the end zone, but cornerback Ken Jones of the Spartans saved the 6 points. Pete Johnson then carried in for his first season touchdown, and Ohio State was winning 14-0. Logan, the tailback, not only proved he could run, but on this halfback pass, threw the wingback Jim Harrell for a 36-yard pickup. And if it hadn't been for Tom Hannon, Harrell would have had a touchdown. That play set up Rod Gerald's second score as the sophomore ran in from 12 yards away. With Tom Sloveni's third conversion, Ohio State was winning 21-0 at the end of one quarter. In the second quarter, the Buckeye defense began to assert itself as Marshall Lawson was hit hard and Nick Bonamici pounced on the Spartan quarterback's fumble. 2 plays later, Pete Johnson found the opening he needed and raced 62 yards to the Spartan end zone. Pete had reached enemy end zones 26 times in 1975 to lead all scoring, and in his last 3 years at Ohio State had scored 39 times to become the top scorer for the Buckeyes. Leading 28-0, Ohio State got the ball right back when Spartan tailback Rich Bays dropped the ball and sophomore defensive end Kelton Dantzler grabbed it, much to the chagrin of Michigan State's first-year coach, Darrell Rogers. Again, it was the Ohio State defense as junior tackle Eddie Beeman powered through to sack Lawson for an 8-yard loss. And the Michigan State fans had less and less to cheer about with the Buckeyes leading 35-0 at the half. Ohio State opened the second half with another score as Jeff Logan ran 75 yards for his second touchdown of the game. Logan ran for 112 yards in 7 tries against Michigan State as he more than proved that he was the man for the job as Ohio State tailback. Logan not only ran from scrimmage, but on this fourth quarter play, Jeff hauled in a Tom Burney punt and used his blockers well as he went to the far sidelines and raced 68 yards for another Ohio State score. Slovenia then added another point, and Ohio State was easily winning over Michigan State 49-14. Ohio State started defense of the Big Ten title with this victory, their 11th conference win in a row. The Buckeyes made their very first trip to University Park, Pennsylvania to play the Penn State Nittany Lions. In 5 previous meetings, all in Columbus, the Lions had won 4 times. This was the first of 3 non-conference games that would be a real test for Ohio State. After a scoreless first quarter, the Lions were on the Buckeye 5 and driving when the Bucks dug in to stop Steve Geis for a 1-yard loss. Then John Andrus tried to pass in the end zone, but safety Ray Griffin grabbed the ball and ran out to the 3, where a Penn State roughing penalty helped to give the Buckeyes another 15 yards of running room. Rod Gerald then ran for 10 yards to begin the Buckeyes' touchdown drive. Logan, on his way to another afternoon of rushing, went 48 yards on this carry. Jeff rushed for 160 yards against the Lions in 25 tries. 5 plays later, Rod Gerald rolled out and went the final 8 yards for Ohio State's first score of the game. The Buckeyes failed to convert and led 6-0 at the intermission. In the final quarter of the game, Jeff Logan took a pitch out from Gerald and added 12 yards to his afternoon's rushing by going to the Penn State 17. Pete Johnson, who got only 60 yards against Penn State, carried for 8 on this play. Number 35, Bob Hyatt, went in at halfback, and the senior got his first touchdown playing for the Scarlet and Gray as he went wide left for the score. Hyatt, a walk-on player, admitted that this was the thrill of a lifetime. Late in the game, Ohio State's defense pulled the deciding play when Kelton Dantzler intercepted an Andrus pass to stop the Lion drive. And Ohio State had their second straight win over Penn State, 12-7. Back in Ohio Stadium, the Buckeyes hosted the Missouri Tigers, a team that had never defeated the Buckeyes in 9 games dating back to 1939. Their closest attempt was a 13-13 tie in 1946. This season, under Coach Al Onofrio, the Tigers surprised Southern Cal 46-25, then lost to the University of Illinois 31-6. The only thing the Buckeyes knew about Missouri was that they could be tough when they wanted to play football. Ohio State was looking for their third win of 1976 and their second non-conference opponent that helped answer some questions about just how good is this Buckeye team. Woody Hayes, in his 26th year coaching at Ohio State, was after his 183rd victory. The Buckeye attack featured fullback Pete Johnson as the 248-pound bulldozer, carried for 13 yards on this play near the end of the first quarter. Rod Gerald kept the Tiger defense honest with this 9-yard run. Then Jeff Logan took the pitch from Gerald and moved 13 yards closer to the Missouri end zone as the quarter ended with Ohio State on the move. The first score of the game came in the second quarter when Johnson got the ball in the Tiger 2-yard line and Pete capped an 80-yard drive to put 6 points on the board. Tom Spadani converted to put the Buckeyes out front 7-0, but Missouri came right back to tie the game at 7-all. On Ohio State's next possession, Johnson ran for 17 yards through left tackle and guard as Jim Savoca and Chris Ward opened the door. Logan, on his way to another 100 yards plus rushing, carried for 18 yards this time. Coming right back, the tailback went for his longest run against Missouri, going up the middle for 31 yards before Bruce Carter, senior defensive back, saved a touchdown. At the 2-yard line, the name of the game is Pete Johnson, and the senior scoring machine did it again. The Buckeyes were again ahead, this time 14-7. Defense played a big part of the game as All-American candidate Nick Bonamici parted a Pete Woods pass into his first interception of the year to give the Buckeyes field possession at the Tiger 12 after a penalty against Missouri for rough play. Bonamici, great defensive tackle who complements a great puck effort in stopping enemy ball carriers and quarterbacks. Johnson loaded up for his next run and not only carried the ball, but several Tigers who got on for the ride for 9 yards, going to the Missouri 3. With short end Pete, the Long Beach, New York fullback got his 3rd touchdown of the game and 5th of 1976. Number 18, Pete Woods, tried to get Missouri on the boards again before the half ended, and after a chase by Buckeye defenders, threw downfield, but Bob Brzezinski, senior defensive end, grabbed the ball for his first interception of the season. Brzezinski from Fremont Ross doesn't say much off the field, but his actions talk when he plays the game of football. At halftime, Ohio State led 21-7. In the third quarter, another Buckeye defender, sophomore middle guard Byron Cato, sacked Woods for a 12-yard loss. Woods again felt the pressure of the Ohio State defense when he was rushed on this option pitch, tossed it too high, and Kelton Densler recovered. Woods in the fourth quarter was sacked by Brzezinski, crashing in from his defensive end spot, and he coughed up the ball, but Kurt Brown recovered it to retain possession. Missouri then went on to score and trailed 21-20. On a gamble to win the game, Woods shook free to pass incomplete to his tailback, Brown. A holding penalty gave the Tigers another chance. And on the second try, Woods ran it in for a 22-21 Missouri victory. For their fourth game, the Buckeyes were home for a replay of the 1976 Rose Bowl game against the Bruins of UCLA. And a nationwide audience would watch on ABC. Under their new coach, Terry Donahue, UCLA had won 3, lost none. Ohio State would try to get back on the winning path. It was a hard-hitting game, as shown by this contact that jarred the ball loose from Bruin quarterback Jeff Dankworth. Byron Cato fell on it for the Bucks. Later, Wendell Tyler ran for 6 yards and was stopped by freshman Mike Guess. Tyler was the top UCLA rusher, getting 341 yards in previous games. Frank Corral punted to Ray Griffin, and number 44, the 5'9", 179-pound junior safety, almost went all the way on the return. And the first half ended with neither team able to score. In the third quarter, Tyler was stopped again, this time by Tom Roche, the defensive halfback, and the junior dropped Tyler for a 1-yard loss. Great pursuit by the Buckeye defense stopped Fieldus Brown for no gain on this play. When the Buckeyes took to the air as Rod Gerald fired to Greg Storr, and the tight end completed a 19-yard pickup. Jeff Logan then attracted a crowd of UCLA defenders as he carried for 7. And from the Bruin 4, Pete Johnson came off the T formation to put 6 points on the board. It's Pete's 6th touchdown of the year. At halftime, Ohio State led 7-0. Evidence of hard hitting in the game came in the third quarter when Dankworth carried and was separated from the ball by Joe Allegro, and Ray Griffin got possession for Ohio State. In the fourth quarter, Jeff Logan ran for 20 yards, and it could have been more, but Jerry Robinson pulled Logan down. Tom Skladany kicked a 25-yard field goal. It was Skladany's first field goal of the year, and it couldn't have come at a better time as it tied the Bruins. The final score, Ohio State 10, UCLA 10. The Buckeyes resumed their Big Ten Conference schedule, playing at Iowa, where they were looking for their 12th straight league victory. Ohio State started early as Rod Gerald passed to Jim Harrell for 15 yards on this play. Later on the same drive, Gerald found Greg Storr for a pickup of 13 yards. Then from the Iowa 17, Gerald looked again to pass. But with receivers covered, the Dallas signal caller scooted around right in for a touchdown. Ohio State went ahead 7-0. Again in the first quarter, Gerald passed to split end Herman Jones for this gain of 39 yards. This was Jones' second reception of the year. Pete Johnson carried for the touchdown, and Ohio State was in front of the Hawkeyes 14-0. Eddie Beeman got the ball back for Ohio State when he recovered this Iowa fumble on the Iowa 20. Number 23, Ron Springs, raced around left end for 10 yards. Ron is a sophomore from Williamsburg, Virginia, and a transfer student. Then from the one, Johnson got his second score against Iowa, and Ohio State led 21-0 after one quarter. In the second quarter, Tom Roche pulled his first pass interception when this Caldwell to McNulty toss came Tom's way, and he killed it for the touchback. On that series, Johnson burst through a hole inside right end for a 45-yard gain and almost broke it all the way. As the Iowa defense held, Tom Skladany kicked a 26-yard field goal. Defensive tackle Eddie Beeman, playing another great game, dropped Caldwell for a 7-yard loss on this charge. Then Kelton Densler got to Caldwell, and the Hawks were thrown for another loss, this time for 8 yards. Another sack of Caldwell came at the hands of Bob Rudzinski, as big number 84 one-handed the Hawk quarterback for a 10-yard reversal. And it was the Buck defense again, as Mike Guess intercepted this Caldwell to Schultz pass, and the Buckeyes led 24-0 at halftime on their way to a 34-14 conference victory. Staying on the road, Ohio State played Wisconsin in Madison. Last Badger victory in this Camp Randall Stadium came in 1959 when Wisconsin won 12-3. And Wisconsin led 7-0 after a quarter, despite runs like this Jeff Logan carry for 14 yards. Logan, who showed 551 yards rushing in 5 previous games, showed his ability to break tackles and get outside on this 23-yard gain. But it was the second quarter before Ohio State tied the game as Rod Gerald capped a 67-yard drive with his keeper around left end to even things at 7-all. The Buckeyes took one out of their bag of tricks when Logan appeared ready to hold for a field goal try on 4th down. A big play as Logan instead carried to the Wisconsin 14 and a first down. Pete Johnson followed the blocking of Chris Ward and Jim Savoca, getting a touchdown. The Buckeyes led 20-7 at the intermission. A Rod Gerald fumble in the third quarter looked like a disaster, but the sophomore recovered the loose ball and carried 29 yards into the Badger end zone. Gerald, one of the most dangerous runners around, is shown here. Later in the third quarter, Gerald went to the air and found another receiver, tight end Bill Jaco of Toledo. Jaco, a sophomore, knows what to do with the ball and completed a 36-yard play as the third quarter came to an end. Gerald came back in the final period with his pass to freshman fullback Paul Campbell for 8 yards. Going to a ground play, Ron Springs got 12 yards closer to the Badger end zone, going up the middle. Skladany kicked a 25-yard field goal as the Buckeyes beat the Badgers 30-20. After those 2 road games, the Buckeyes were happy to return to Ohio Stadium, their opponent, the Purdue Boilermakers. This is the 27th meeting between these Big Ten rivals, but Ohio State holding a commanding edge in victories with 17. Early, Aaron Chunky Brown anchored the Buckeye defense from his middle guard spot by dropping Purdue's Mike Northington for a 5-yard loss. Later, Northington was chased by Nick Bonamici, and the big tackle got credit for this 2-yard setback. Ricky Smith, freshman fullback, also felt the pressure of the Ohio State defense when Ray Griffin tackled him for a 2-yard loss. The Purdue game was costly for Ohio as quarterback Rod Gerald ran the option for 3 yards and was hurt on the tackle. A back injury put him out for the season. Bob Rudzinski was the next Buckeye defender to make the big play as the defensive end intercepted this Mark Vitale pass and returned it 5 yards. One of the greatest defensive ends to play for Ohio State. The Buckeyes' first points were scored in the second quarter as Tom Skladany kicks this 27-yard field goal. And at the intermission, Ohio State led by a slim 3-0 margin. Halftime was for homecoming, and for the first time, a queen and a king were crowned. Queen Mary Ann Beneke was joined by King Alex Lambrinitis to reign over the festivities. Senior quarterback Jim Facetta, number 15, now directing the Ohio State attack. This pass to Greg Storer gains 18 yards. Jeff Logan takes the pitch and raced outside for 12 of his 175 yards gained against the Boilermakers. Facetta came up with this big play. He hits Jim Harrell on a sideline pass. Then Jeff Logan ran the ball over right guard for the go-ahead touchdown, and Ohio State was leading 10-3. In the fourth quarter, Brodzinski playing another outstanding game as he stole this Mark Vitale pass and returned it 28 yards. According to the Buckeye coaches, number 84, Brodzinski has never played a bad game. Logan also gives the game all his effort, and here the East Canton native rambles for 29 yards, showing great maneuverability in getting the touchdown. Purdue is trying to scratch back, but Eddie Beeman again made the big play in sacking Vitale, this time for a 12-yard loss. And the Buck defense put out a final Purdue drive as Tom Roche grabs this Vitale pass to preserve a 24-3 Ohio State victory. Back on the road, Ohio State battles a stubborn Indiana 11 as well as the elements on a cold, rainy day in Bloomington, Indiana. Nick Bonamici drew attention on this first quarter play. He picks off this scouter net pass and starts upfield, but he found a faster runner in Ray Griffin, so Ray is running for his first touchdown of 1976, thanks to Bonamici's second pass interception of the year. Arnett fields another element of the Buckeye defense, and he's dropped for a 17-yard backfire by number 55, Aaron Brown. Fullback Pete Johnson, looking for his 13th touchdown of the year, takes the ball for 7 yards. With 4th and 1. Johnson comes right back with this 9-yard pickup. This keeps Ohio's drive alive. Then Pete added these 6 points from 3 yards away to put the Buckeyes on top 12-7. In the third quarter, Jim Harrell took his handoff from Jim Facetta and carries on a reverse of 7 yards. Later, Facetta unloaded a bomb to Harrell, and the 5'10" wingback takes it over the shoulder for a 59-yard scoring play. Ohio State now leads 26-7. Facetta is giving Ohio State an air attack as the senior pre-med student finds Greg Storer for 12 yards on this play. The drive then climaxed in the fourth quarter as Logan went around left end and makes sure his foot is in the end zone for his 6th touchdown. Freshman quarterback Greg Castignola passes complete to sophomore Bill Jaco, and the result is an 8-yard gain. Then Ron Springs scores his first touchdown for the Scarlet and Gray by running this 13-yard route, and Ohio State went on to defeat Indiana 47-7. For their 9th game and 6th in the Big Ten, the Buckeyes entertained Illinois and their coach of 6 years, Bob Blackman. This is one of the longest series in college football, dating back to around 1902. The Ohio State defense scored first as linebacker Ed Thompson intercepted this stagger pass. And the senior tri-captain uses his blockers well to travel down the sidelines for an 81-yard return. This is Ed's first touchdown. Jim Facetta added a new twist to his abilities, the scramble, as he finally passes to Pete Johnson, and this 9-yard gain was the result. Then it was time to really scramble. when Pacenta dodged Illinois tacklers to get free and passed the Store for 17 yards. Jeff Logan gave this display of his running ability and great balance, as well as a great second effort, carrying for 11 big ones to end the first quarter play. And Johnson finishes the drive with this touchdown. Pacenta continued his passing in the second quarter when he hit Store again for an 8-yard gain. And now for a real scramble. Pacenta finds his receivers covered, but keeping cool, Jim turns upfield and picks up 13 yards. This following play, Pacenta went again to the air and hit Herman Jones for 16 yards. Johnson completes the drive of 70 yards with his 2-yard plunge as Ohio State led Illinois 21-3 at the half. The Buck defense kept pressure on Illinois. Eddie Beeman sacked Steger for this 9-yard deficit. And middle guard Aaron Brown stopped Schultz for no gain. Later, another Ohio defender, halfback Bruce Rule, steps in front of the Steger pass and gets possession for the Buckeyes. Rule is a senior. Ohio State keeps moving. Junior tight end Greg Starr cuts over the middle and calls for this Pacenta pass. And it's complete. Ron Springs, the sophomore speedster, takes this pitch and carries 11 yards. Johnson added the finishing touch as he scores his 18th season touchdown and 4th of the game against Illinois. Let's watch the defense of Ohio State. Ed Thompson picks off his second interception of the game, saving a touchdown. Moments later, another interception. Bob Brzezinski picks off this Steger pass, and he returns it 35 yards down the far sidelines. You know, some days, nothing seems to go right. Ron Springs carries the ball for 16 yards in third quarter action. And in the fourth quarter, Springs shows great footwork as he uses a gridiron ballet to pick up 15 yards. Then it was all defense as Densler and Thompson teamed up with this 1-yard loss on Coleman. Aaron Brown dives through the Illinois forward wall to sack McRae for a 5-yard loss. And then Joe Allegro was in the right place at the right time as he recovered this fumble coming off of McRae to Collins' pass. And Ohio State handled the Fighting Illini, winning 42-10. Memorial Stadium, Minnesota, was the setting for the Buckeyes' next game. Jim Pacenta started things with his 16-yard pass that goes to Store for a big play. Store is a junior from Cincinnati. Tom Skladany reaches the crossbar from 39 yards away as the tri-captain gets 3 points on the board. In the second quarter, Pacenta sends Logan on a sideline pattern. and completes the pass to the tailback for 23 yards. Pacenta looks for Harold this time, and another 8 yards is gained through the air. Now Pacenta shows his ability to scramble and improvise as he escapes to score his first touchdown and puts Ohio State in the lead by a 9-3 margin at the half. Third quarter action now. Tony Dungy wants to pass. Nick Bonamici has other ideas. Result, Dungy takes a 5-yard loss. Dungy again tries to go through the air. Kelton Dantzler is in fast to hit his arm, and Nick Bonamici picks the ball out of the air and rambles upfield to be stopped when Dungy throws himself in front of Bonamici in a desperation tackle. That's Nick's third pass interception. A great achievement for a defensive tackle. In the fourth quarter, Dungy again tries to pass. This time it's Eddie Beeman throwing the Big Ten's total offense leader of 1975 for a 12-yard loss. This Dungy pass is harmlessly knocked away by Tom Cousineau as Ohio State defeats Minnesota 9-3. When Michigan came to Ohio Stadium for the final game of 1976, it was the same story as it had been for the past 8 years. The Big Ten title was at stake. The Buckeyes were undefeated in 7 Big Ten conference games and owned at least a share of an unprecedented 5th straight championship. Michigan had been handed their only defeat by Purdue 2 weeks earlier. So the Wolverines had to beat Ohio State to share the title. A Michigan loss or a tie would give the Buckeyes the title outright. Needless to say, things were fever pitch in Columbus, and a record crowd of 88,250 fans jammed the Giant Horseshoe to watch this once-a-year classic that will go down in history as the greatest series in college football. The stage was set. Both teams were well prepared and well coached. Early in the game, Rick Leach discovered the speed of Ohio's Aaron Brown as the nose guard knocked down this pass. Then Leach is taken to the AstroTurf by defensive end Bob Brzezinski. Brzezinski sacks the Michigan left-hander for a 5-yard loss. This was the last game for some great Ohio State players. Bob Brzezinski, number 84, was ending his college play by being named on the Associated Press, Kodak, and Sporting News All-American teams. Bob was named on both the AP and UPI All-Big Ten teams. Number 75, Nick Bonamici, nice through to stop Lytle for no gain. The senior defensive tackle placed on the United Press International All-American second team and was all Big Ten on both AP and UPI selections. Tom Skladany was the choice to join the NEA and Sporting News All-American squads and was all Big Ten for AP. Chris Ward, junior offensive tackle, was named to the Kodak team and first team All-Big Ten by AP and UPI. Fullback Pete Johnson ended his Ohio State career as top point getter by being named to the AP and UPI second team All-American. Ray Griffin, junior safety, joined Johnson on those same teams, as well as the AP and UPI's All-Big Ten squad. Other Buckeyes getting all Big Ten honors were Bill Lucan,